Alright. Accidentally turned off the stream and then back on instead of changing scenes. Thought for a moment that it was gonna kill the YouTube, but I guess they must have a little bit of a buffer built in where you can stop and then restart your stream, and it doesn't count it as a new stream. It realizes that it's back to the same one. Yeah. Up there. Okay. That's helpful. The Twitch link won't change, so that should be fine. This is running. Alright, I think we are ready. So quick introduction. Hello to everyone, my name is Tim. Go by foamyguy on GitHub and Discord, and the Twitch there as well as foamyguy Twitch. We are showing my screen, right? Yeah, so this is a, in this video, we'll be working on a couple of different things related to CircuitPython, but if you're brand new to this, you don't know what CircuitPython is. This is a version of Python that runs on these tiny computers, such as this one I have here. This is actually a feather that's connected to another thing, so this by itself right here is the feather. This is a Feather RP2040. It's got pins on the bottom there for you to plug it into a breadboard, or in this case, it's plugged into this nifty little feather doubler thing here. So these are, female versions of the pins. You can plug it in right there, and it's got 2 rows of them. This one has a 7-segment thing on top of it there. So this is just a fancy little thing for connecting together feathers with what they call feather wings, which is what this one is. But taking a step back, we are writing Python code that runs on the tiny computer on this device. We are saving it on there and then having it interact with other hardware. In our case, it will be the 7 segments right here. Later on, we'll work on a PyPortal where we will interact with stuff on a screen. So we'll be drawing stuff on displays and things like that. This is the whole idea of CircuitPython, is writing this version of Python code that runs on the tiny computers on these little boards. If you're interested in the CircuitPython project, you can learn more at circuitpython.org. If you're interested in getting involved, we're always happy to help get new folks going. If you click on contributing link up at the top here, this is going to take you to open pull requests and open issues across all the different libraries for CircuitPython. So this is a good way to start getting involved in the project. You can, of course, also join us on the Discord, which is what's showing down below me on the stream there. That is the live broadcast channel on the Adafruit Discord. But there is also a CircuitPython dev and help with CircuitPython and several other channels that you can get access to if you join the Discord. And I will mention also CircuitPython. It's an open source project, but it is primarily funded by this company, Adafruit. They're a hardware and software company based out of New York. They sell all sorts of different hardware, in particular the microcontrollers like this one that we're running stuff on, as well as the add-ons like this feather wing that we have here and the doubler. These are all Adafruit products. And if you want to another way that you can help support the project is by purchasing hardware from them, since they are paying the folks who are working on the project full-time, some folks who are working on the project part-time, like myself. They are funding all of it by paying us to work on the CircuitPython project. So we definitely would appreciate if you purchase hardware there if they have things that you're interested in. What I'm going to start with today is this PR, which you can see what I have loaded up is the same hardware in the picture here. This is a PR that added the ability to use custom characters on the 7-segment display. What this grew out of, very, very brief history here. We got a PR for using LOL, this person wanted to be able to make the letters LOL on the 7-segment, which you can do because you could make, an L by turning on these 3 segments. You can make an O, of course, the same way that you can make a 0 by turning on the outer segments. So they wanted to have LOL, and it in an older version of the library, it only allowed numbers. So they made a change for it to basically build a couple little exceptions in. You add, one extra character or two extra. I think maybe the O is the same as 0, so I don't know if that actually was different, but they PR'd it so that you can use LOL, but there was a suggestion at the time that was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could generalize this a little bit more and be able to do any character that you can make with a 7 segment, which is maybe not the entire alphabet, but is a larger selection than just L and O and the numbers. And I think it also does the hex digits, like A through F, all the letters you need to make hex digits. So that gets us up to here. Tektrick put in this PR for doing just that, for allowing you to set up more custom letter patterns with the 7-segment lights there. I'm gonna wipe my nose real quick here. And so now we have it, and I will mention also thank you, hug report to Tektrick, who figured out a particular issue we were having with it, where the whenever you had a dot, like a period in the text that you were showing, it would also do a hyphen. So it would be like dot hyphen, dot hyphen. And the hyphens were like phantom. They weren't really meant to be there. So Nerodoc, I think, figured out the fix for this. It's been committed, so we're going to test it again. And if everything is good, then we're going to be ready to merge this, I think. So, do all of that. We have Vice Workspace. We're also going to open the repo that it's in. HT16K33. I'm going to go back to main. I'm going to look at what is the name of this branch, because I might need to delete it. Custom characters. I don't know. Do I already have... Does this let me overtake it? Let's try. Nope, wrong one. Terminal 12? 12? No. Control? No. Whoa. I don't know what that does. A terminal is F12. GHPR list. GHPR checkout. 96. Okay, that seems to have checked it out. Some characters. Let's look for the latest change. I'm sure I had another copy of this branch on my computer, and I just want to be sure that it actually did update it just now with the latest stuff. Just one thing on line 19. Side example custom chars. Yeah. Okay. I did get the latest one. That's nice. Okay. So we now have our local PR set to the same state as the branch in the PR. Excuse me. I think I just said our local PR. Our local code is set to the same state as the branch in the PR. So I'm going to plug in the feather. I'll put it on the camera. It's not too exciting, but we might as well. Plug it in. It's going to show up as the CircuitPy drive, which we should already be able to see inside of PyCharm here. Pi. I don't know what's on it. Probably something else. Oh yeah, I was trying to do buttons. Testing button reading with the same chip. So let's say code HT16K33 button. Button, it's like button matrix scanning type thing. Put it here. I was having trouble getting it to run. We might as well save the code from it. Empty that, and then we should connect to serial. We should then copy the code from the example. Onto CodePy, the device. And things should happen. Oh, we need to save it. 34? Oh, I probably don't have the right version of the library. Let's delete this. And let's take the one from this branch. There we go. Now we're running. Sweet. And the dots do not have any hyphens. Those dots at the end of the word scrolling right there is where the hyphens were showing before. Maybe I could turn... see what it looks like this. Is this better? Not really. Maybe a little bit, but not really. But these dots right here, 3 dots at the end of the word scrolling, it used to show the hyphens as well. And those are from this. It does appear as though it is scrolling at this point. Well, I don't know which segments are which. It'd be interesting to make an uppercase L. So on L it has 0011. Well, I mean, it's probably on one side or the other of these existing ones. Yeah, there we go. Guessed right the first time. Cool. So now we have a capital L. Okay. So yeah, basically now you can just declare custom patterns, and these are just the bit masks for the 7 segments. So you could make things that aren't letters as well if you wanted. You can any pattern that you can make with the 7 segment, you can register it as a character and then use it for both print and marquee for scrolling around. That's kind of cool. So it seems like we're good now. This does seem to be the fix. Guess we could do an approve. Back up here. Okay. What we tested into alpha. I don't know if I got the dashes and dots right. Wait, so and it's still passing CI, so this one is ready to go. So for folks that have not seen before, this is I'll show you the merge and release process. So we have a PR, it's been reviewed now, it's been approved. It's been tested and approved. It is now merged because I clicked the merge button. So the next thing we need to do is make a new release for it, because the ones that are released are the ones that end up in the bundle. So the code is in the repo now, but we also want to make sure it goes to the bundle, which means that then things like Circup would find it, and the library bundle system in the Learn guide, all of that sort of stuff would find it after we make the release. So go to releases, we're gonna copy this one so we can get some of the boilerplate code. not code, but just text in the body there, draft. And the old version, the previous version is 4.2.1. This is a new feature, so we're going to bump the secondary number. We have new functionality now, so we're going to go 4.3.0. Custom characters. Or 7 segment. Does this usually have a dash, maybe? Segment. There's an example, so I'll link the example while we're here. Okay, so we're double checking the tag because if this is wrong, then it can be kind of lame. It's not the end of the world, but it's not the best thing in the world either. 4.2.1 is the old one. 4.3.0 is definitely above 4.2.1, which is the most important thing. And in this case, we do want to bump the middle number because we have new functionality. Usually it's like, it's kind of loosely based rules, but usually it's like the last number is small changes like bug fixes. If the API doesn't change, just like something got fixed, or like types were added or something like that, documentation updates, stuff like that would be bumped the bottom number, the far right, and then the middle number is like functionality changed. There's either a new argument for a function or there's a new function altogether. New API essentially is what the middle one implies, to me at least. And then the furthest to the left, the major number, this is like if the API is breaking. If the API used to be one thing and now it is something different and it's not backwards compatible, then people will have to change their code when they update to this version. If we're using a new major version, that's what that one tends to indicate. So that's where we got our 4.3.0. We have a title, we have a body. It's looking good. We're going to publish. And this will run some more actions. You can see it's like still working on actions. There's probably a couple of them queued up. And the actions are what will build the release assets. So right now there's actually only 2 assets listed right here. But if we look at a previous release, there's more. There's 8 assets on this one, including a bunch of zips of the actual library itself, impy, and then there's a Python version as well. There's an examples one. There's a JSON file that's used by a couple other pieces of infrastructure. So the actions will actually run, generate all of that stuff, and then add them to the assets list of the release here. It's kind of cool. But that's our merge and release process. Now we have new functionality here. So thank you again to NearDoc and Tektrick for working on that. And next I'm gonna get back into the Winamp project. So this is something that I was working on the last couple of streams. If folks are interested in this and you didn't catch the previous few streams, you can go back and see what this project is all about. Oh, I think, yeah, this does reflect back, so let's do... I will say actually not the most recent stream. Thursday I think it was. I streamed a little bit in the evening, and I did not work on this. I used this split screen thing that added for us, which is super cool. Try to find the sweet spot here where this doesn't just glare right back into the camera. Not really hitting much today, am I? There we go. Just do it that way. Not too bad. We have a little bit, but so now this wire is like right up in my mousing area. Let's do this. Sing a little bit. If anybody who happens to watch this or is watching this knows of a good way, a good solution, whether it's a certain camera or a certain kind of lighting setup or something, if anybody knows a good way to capture photo and video of a device's screen without having the light glare back into the camera. Right now my camera has a light on it, basically. But as you could see when I was messing with this, the light from the camera wants to glare back off of the screen directly into the camera. If anybody knows like some kind of top-down shooting setup that avoids that, I'm definitely looking for help in that area. So right now this is on this split screen thing. Let's switch back over to Winamp. Okay, so this noticed that the code is different. I guess I must have not have saved the change, probably the change back to lowercase l. We want to just load the file system, which is actually a totally different device now. PyCharm probably thinks these were the same device, but we know they're actually different. I unplugged the feather and I plugged in the PyPortal. So I'm going to save this one as code split screen example. And we're going to do more with the split screen at some point. I think I'm going to use the split screen thing to make some display.io basics videos, including some of the widgets we have, like text. I think it'd be great if we had a display text video, but also like bitmaps and tile grids and groups are all things I want to explore in future videos. And I think that split screen REPL display.io is a perfect medium for that. Let me hide this OBS window. I never did really look at the audio before now in OBS. It does look like we're getting audio, so I assume we're good. What if I put paper over it to diffuse the light? Put paper over the screen, or, well, over the light? I could try it. Maybe tissue paper or something? Just like tape a piece of it. Could try that. Try that. Speaking of light, though, I gotta put up the light blocker. I'll be right back. Park has quite a bit of experience with streaming cameras and light setups. Oh, okay. He'll stop by. Well, at one point he did like a tour of the workshop. Maybe I can find that one and see if he talked about the top down. Yeah, that's a good idea though. That's a good idea. I was thinking also about asking maybe Noe and Pedro. I feel like always have really good. Really nice video. I mean, obviously, like, their production value of everything is really high, to be honest. It's really nice. But the video, both of those two, JP and Noe and Pedro, always have really nice looking videos, I think. It's a good place to ask. So let's go back to Winamp. The stuff I want to do today is, I Basically, we're going to implement the rest of the MP3 playing behavior. Maybe make this a little more rotatable. Right now I have it hard-coded to a particular orientation, which happens to be this way, which actually, funnily enough, the reason I chose this orientation is because it seemed to film the best. What I do right now is I have this angled, therefore the light doesn't bounce directly back into the camera, but it's bouncing off to the side. And what I found is that the PyPortal, when it's angled in this direction that it is now with the plug on the bottom, it picks up pretty well on the camera, but when it's angled the other way, it doesn't pick up quite as well. Just the viewing angle of the actual display seems worse a little bit from that other angle, or different really. It's not worse, it just doesn't get picked up by this camera quite as well. Yeah. So we're basically, and I don't have the speaker plugged in. You might have spied the little speaker peeking out over here. I don't have the speaker plugged in right now, which is because the, I don't think there's volume control. And the songs I have are kind of loud, basically. So I will plug it in at some point. I don't know if it'll get picked up by the mic. Hopefully we can maybe avoid it getting picked up by the mic. The other thing is it's not... it's like copyrighted music, right? So I don't want to... It's coming out of a really small speaker, and I will say, you know, it's not the best like quality or the most clear or whatever, but I'm sure we probably don't want to still be playing copyrighted music. Maybe I'll go find some public domain MP3s. Use those, actually. Classical recordings from archive. Some Beethoven or something, yeah. Can I download all of these? Browse. Failed to obtain. It was a zip, so we could have downloaded all of them. Zip. 7.5 gigs. I don't need that much, actually. Are these like full albums or something? Must be full albums. If we can find like... This is sheet music though, probably, right? Public domain MP3s? Public domain music MP3? I don't need that many. Maybe like 4 or 5 or something would be probably fine. This though is like Creative Commons or... I don't know why this is video of 9/11 either. Seems kind of weird. Maybe this song is about it or something. I don't really want Creative Commons, or yeah, I want like public domain. I'm sure there's like very, very old public domain music, right? I won't spend too long looking for this either, honestly. If we come up empty, then we just come up empty and that's fine. It's the one I was just on. Serious lights. Oh, it's kind of nice. I don't think that probably doesn't come through on the stream, but folks could see what page I'm on if you want to try to pull up the same thing. This says $10 though. Creative Commons. I mean, the other thing is I'm not going to release these with the project. I literally just want something to play while I work on it on stream, even specifically, because I was working on it before and I had my own music in there. So I don't have the rights to rebroadcast it, I don't think. Not interested in testing whether I do or not. I could grab one or two more, yeah. It's interesting, these all have a set of emojis, I guess, to describe what they are, what they're about, kind of. Interesting. I think 5 is probably plenty. That we have 3 showing on the screen. I think we loop back around whenever we hit the end, so 5 should be good. That gives us like a full screen plus another like 2/3 of a full screen. So Winamp, this is where we were downloading. I should make a music. Okay, so this actually gives me a chance to show the playlist, which is one of the few parts of this project I did work on off stream, I think. So we have, I showed it for just a brief second on show and tell, but I did not code it on the screen, I don't think, during my stream. We have this playlist JSON, and this holds a JSON object, which ultimately has a list of files, and the list of files basically map to files on the SD card, which is plugged into our Pi portal. So we're gonna take these and fill them in here. Whoops. Actually, let me do this. Oh, why do I doing that? Here we go. And some of them are a little bit longer. Maybe we'll put I don't know. So the way that it currently shows the band is like I've been putting it in the file name and then a little dash there. So we'll fill in these with a placeholder. We only have 5. And then I'll fill this into the actual file names as well. This is nice, not only because it kind of simulates showing the band name, but it also allows it to be long enough to scroll on our scrolling label. Enter. Enter. I have these all on hotkeys, but I don't use them in this order very often. Touchscreen rotation helper. Yeah. I do have, oh, I don't, calibrator? I don't think I have done the calibration yet on this device. I need to do that. Oh, this probably took over the chat, didn't it? Or broke the chat. I don't know if it takes it over or just hides it. I don't think I should run the calibrator, because I do think my values are a little bit out of whack. Oh, and I will say also, though, the touch stuff is also something else that I worked on off stream, but I did also explain a little bit on show and tell. It's very, very basic, so the touchscreen doesn't have to be super accurate. It would be nice to calibrate it anyway, but basically what I did is the bottom half of the display, so the display is split in half vertically. The bottom half is then also split, this way, up and down. So we have left half, right half of the bottom. I realize I pointed backwards. It's actually right half, left half, of course. But and then, so right half does next track, and then left half, again, of only the bottom, does previous track. And then I was going to do the whole top is play pause. So if it's running and you touch the top, it will pause. If it's paused and you touch the top, it will resume. Those are going to be like the main 3 controls that we do. If it turns out there's a way to control volume, I'll add volume as well. But I think right now you would have to like process the audio or something. There's no just like set volume to 50% or something like that, I don't think. So we have our music, we have our playlist file. So I'm going to save the playlist file, but I am going to need to copy the music onto the SD card. Right now, I have different music on the SD card. PyPortal has a built-in SD card right here. Take that out. I am going to find one of these little things. Oh, I need to scroll the chat here and catch up. I need to calibrate with buttons that large. Calibrator has rotation. Ah, I see. Yeah, I do. There is a rotation one as well, which is where I snagged the code I do have from. I did just hard code it though. I think that example has a couple, like you set the rotation and then it has an if statement for them. All right, SD card is in. I think I'm just gonna put these at the root of the SD card. Got plenty of room. Should fix this because I spelled it wrong. Even though we're not gonna use it. What? Okay, apparently I didn't enter. Yeah, that should be all we need, I think. Eject that. Okay. SD card. That back in. Guess I'll go ahead and plug in the speaker as well. I'll try to do down here on the camera, but it's actually kind of tough to plug it in. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on camera. Might need to pull it a little closer to me. Let's see. Lined up. Of course, you can't see anything anyway. Here we go. This is a little like 2-pin sort of JST Molexy type connector. All right. Now we're set. I'm going to take the Winamp code. Put it here. Save it just so that it loads. Am I covering that? Yeah, the chat is. pretty good there. It starts to glare back, but maybe I'll do this. Scoot this back. Let's switch sides, maybe. Or I could do the small one, I guess. Switch sides for now. See how that goes for a little while. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so right now I don't have it playing anything at all. I have some stuff hard-coded where I was playing something, but it was just a single hard-coded thing, not anything that's on the playlist. So what we should do is, let's see, we should... Where should we get the song we're currently playing? So we have on playlist display, we have current track number. So where do we, let's see where we read the play. Okay, so we do just have playlist, which is the JSON that we loaded out of our file. It's a little weird because we're one based. Can we just subtract one? Have it work? Not sure. Let's make a... Oh, where do we add those actually? So we get our playlist. Oh, we called from playlist, which built it. Right. So yeah, this is taking off the all of the directories, and it's also taking off the .mp3. I think we should... Yeah, I guess right now we just throw away the directories as soon as we load. So I don't think this thing should be in charge of like which one's playing at a given time. I think what we may ultimately do is make one more layer of object. We might make a Winamp player object, which will contain our 3 custom widgets. And that will be like the highest level. Right now we basically just do everything, you know, in the application code. It creates our 3 widgets and does everything. But I think we'll maybe create a Winamp App object which does all of this and just has like a single update or something that goes in the main loop. For now though, let's put a... Well, we could just always subtract by 1. So print first file to play, print sure if -1 will always be right or not. It was right this time, so let's go ahead and work on that for now. So let's say current song file. Oops. Current song file. Now we can start playing it, which that code is actually back up here, but I'll cut it and move it. Eventually we'll move our widgets to their own files as well, so we're not just one giant file. I guess we should wait maybe until after we get everything showing. I don't know if it's blocking or not. I don't think it's blocking. I'm gonna need to pull up the docs as well. I forgot. There's a way that you update the file. It's like we create an MP3, we have to pass it the file. Whoops. This is gonna be current song file. But then we have to create a decoder which takes our MP3 and then we audio.play our decoder. We have to set up two things, and somehow we need to be able to switch the file, which I believe there's an example of. I just didn't actually pull that code in. I had only starting it the first time. So you go decoder.file equals, and then you open. Did we close the other file? This opens the file. Nothing ever closes it. Okay, let's just get it playing the first one first, and then we'll worry about what happens after the first song ends, basically. But yeah, I guess we should have. This should actually be current song file name, I think, and then we'll have a separate variable for current song file, which will be the open file. Current song file open. Then this way later we'll be able to go close, like current song file close, and then open the new one, set the decoder. Do we only change the decoder? See, this is interesting to me, this API, because we oh, okay. This is called MP3, but it's actually just a file. We give our decoder the file. Okay, and then later on we just change the file by doing decoder.file. We don't really have two objects. I was thinking of this as an MP3 object and a decoder object. In this case, MP3 is actually just a file. It's pretty much like our current song file. Wrong project. Okay, so we don't need this, and I want to use current song file instead of MP3 because it's more descriptive. Okay, so then later on we'll go decoder.file equals, it'll be current song file again, but it'll be after we close the existing one and open a new one. Alright, so this should start playing, which I don't know how loud it's going to be or how well the microphone is going to pick it up, so fair warning. I heard it start trying to play. We no longer print the maybe I took out the SD card initialization? Like it's there. This is listing files that it sees as well. Space is wrong. Let's let it run again. Is there a speaker enable pin? There is. Did I use it before? Weird. I thought I had this play before. So really I want this to be separate. Okay, I can have this one be big and not have to keep shrinking it. Wait, what? Weird. This doesn't do anything with speaker enable. Let's do this before we get too much farther. Okay. I hear something. Go print is playing. True. I don't know. I don't hear anything. Um. Hmm. So the other day when it played, it like played. It was loud. I feel like some reason we're not actually playing, even though it thinks it is. So I might just switch back to the other music. I don't. Although I guess it's probably would be good to understand why, so that the guide could say, I guess, if you need to prepare your files or something. So it is stereo. I think we don't. Okay, mono and stereo, 30K, 32K to 128K, 16 to 44.1. I guess this would be the 44.1 maybe? Let's say 32-bit float, but that's not per seconds. I don't know much about audio properties, honestly. I don't know how to change the bitrate. Change tempo. That's not bitrate though, I don't think. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Match, thanks for working on the scrolling library thing. I don't know if you're actually watching. I guess I'll mention in the chat as well. Change bitrates in Audacity. Step 1, file. Oh, we have to export it? Hmm. What did the page say? $32 to $128K. Point stereo? Point stereo is that flaps both into a mono? 44.1 kilobits is a wave file sampling rate, not something that's relevant to MP3. Oh, okay. Probably like this. If we do get the ability to see and edit files on the SD card through the CircuitPython device, we'll be very happy. Make stuff like this. where? Make a new music file. See, this is part that's rough is I'm gonna save this, and I don't really want to convert all the other, even if it's only 5, I don't really want to do the other 5 without knowing if it's gonna work. So now I'm gonna unplug it. I guess in my case, really part of my problem is I gotta get up and around the desk to get to the I've done that number 4. Okay, I still hear it here. Alright, so we're gonna take the SD card out again. A USB thing, maybe that connects an SD card. It's smaller. And we need to go back to 1. Track number. There we go. Now we're running. Yeah, and it looks like it's quiet enough and or just behind the microphone to the point where it's not coming through. Boy, I have tied these all up. It's a nice jam. Alright, so let's convert the others. I should document this. The guide. Yeah. Three more. There's probably a way I could do this with what you call it, the manline video editing thing, which also does audio. I don't know, drawing a blank on it. It's like a video and audio format command line tool. You can like convert between MP4 and other formats and do stuff all from the command line. But that could probably do this for me. All right, so now we have our converted music. We're gonna unplug the SD card again. Copy these, paste them here. Okay, eject. To the Pi portal. Okay, so basically the next thing we want to do is let's say when we have bottom half, right half, left half. So when the right half gets clicked, we also want to use some of these things. Current song file dot close if audio dot playing audio dot stop. If it's playing, stop it. Close the file. Current song file name equals playlist files playlist display current -1 current song file open current song file name RB decoder file equals current song file audio dot play decoder. So now I think it'll start playing the current song. Be nice to put this into a function. I guess I think I'll wait until I refactor into a Winamp app though. Same stuff here. Yeah, duplicated, I know. That's why it'd be nice to put it into a function. That's what I just said. Come on, PyCharm. Yes, that is the one. Thank you, Mr. Certainly. FFmpg, that's totally it, the command line tool. I bet you it has a way to convert MP3s, so it might be nice to like a whole directory at once or something. Thank you, by the way. I think this is all we need, right? To switch files, we closed the old file, we stopped the audio. We're not handling right now, like when we get to the end of the song, starting the next song, but I think we're handling previous and next, all right? Let's give this a try. All right, we got number 1. I don't actually know these songs, so I don't know if that's right. Let's yeah, that worked. This is the one that's playing. I know you got no one can hear, I don't think, besides me, but oh yeah. One's jazzy. I like this one. I can maybe let's do this. Give you a small sampling. The wonderful tunes that I am being graced with. Let's go forward one more. Ooh, that one's much louder. So that's working. Let's see if it wraps back around, because now I'm on 5. Yeah, that got us back to 1. That seems fine. Let's check backwards. Yeah, that seems to be working. So let's leave it on some study and relax here, and let's work on the logic for when we get to the end of the song. So you know what we need, actually? We need some... Should I start building the Winamp app now, maybe? Maybe now's the time. Because a lot of this logic is... It'd be nice to have a home for it, and it could live inside the Winamp app object class. Yeah, let's do that, I think. Let's, class... Eventually this will move again to its own file. Or maybe we might have one file with all of the helper objects in it, and then one CodePy. Class Winamp application, I'll call it. What does this one extend? I mean, I guess it could extend group. Yeah, that probably makes the most sense. So we're gonna do this. Do we need to pass anything to it? Yeah, I guess like the... Well, we'd be passing these 3 things, I guess. Playlist file. Whoa, too many. Why is this gray? Oh. Why is this gray still? Oh, it's not used, okay. I mean... Skin image. I'm just going to default, I think, actually to the base one, because the base one might be the one that comes with the project. And then, of course, we encourage folks to go to the online listing and download whatever skin they want. So then we need skin config file. As well, just put all of these on their own line. All right. Do we need to pass anything else in when we create it? I don't think so. We'll always start on track number 1, so we don't need to accept a track number. Skip. Oh, sorry. Might have been loud. My apologies. Accidentally bonked the microphone. These are the songs we're playing. This is our background. This is the extra config. We can draw everything we need with just those. So yeah, I think these are the only things we pass in. And let's see, do we want to... I think the SD card stuff should be outside of this object. I think this object will just assume you've already done the SD card stuff if your playlist contains files that have SD card, right? You could totally also put your songs on the actual storage. There's not very much room for MP3s, but you could theoretically, and this would still work. But if you use the SD here, then it will just assume that it's already set up, I think, and we'll do that in user code land. Same thing I think with touchscreen. We'll do that in user code land. And what we'll have is our Winamp application will have like a next track and a previous track. And then our user code will get the touch events and call next track or previous track. So we are also going to create our widgets inside of a init. It's currently happening down here. I guess we'll also be doing some of these things. Main group. So main group is going to become self. Do we need to? Maybe we don't need to extend the group. We could just hold main group. Display.show main group. I'm going to start by taking all of this. This is going to now live up inside of init. Some of these things are going to go on self. So config data, this is going to go on self. Playlist. Here we're going to read it off of self. Clock display we're going to put on self also, and we're going to need to append it, but I guess we'll do that down below a little while. These are all going to be on self now. Playlist is now on self. This display, that's on self. So this, I feel like we should be calling it the background bitmap. What? Yeah. And it should also be on self. As well as this. Okay, so main group here, we're extending group, so main group is actually going to be ourselves. So we're going to go, instead of calling display.io group initialize, we're going to go super dot init. So now instead of using main group, would use self, because we are now a group because of this. This is basically calling the group constructor for ourselves. Ground tile grid. Oh, we got the extra dot. All right. Oh, missing a couple here. It's good now. So here we're gonna go Winamp application equals a new Winamp application. We'll pass in our three things, which were playlist file, skin image, skin config file, but these actually were keyword args. And then we are the group, so we're going to show Winamp application. This needs to be inside. This we don't really need. Yeah, self.decoder will do, self.audio will do. This yellow? Parameter buffer to unfilled. We could pre-allocate a buffer? Alright, so now we're inside while true. So honestly, I think inside of here we should, well, we'll have a little bit more to do, but the main thing we should be doing is just an amp application.update. Which is going to do all of this stuff. This is in a new function, def update. Set this when we initialize as well. I don't know if it matters, but Okay. Table, getting close here. Where did we get start time? Time just got set here. This, I think, should live inside of our application. This actually starts after the audio has begun. Now this will do the updating. So let's make a previous track and next track. We'll then get called from our user code laying down there. I'm also just going to stub out because I know I want a pause. I want to pause and resume, or do I want one function that does both? I think I want to pause and resume. Pause. Def play. So we're also going to need some states. I think those are the only two states we need, maybe. But we will also need current state, state playing. So inside pause, it's going to go if self.audio playing, then self.audio.pause, and then also self.current state paused. Inside play, we're going to go if not self.audio.playing, self.audio.play, current state, self.state playing, play, okay. Those should work for us. Previous track, next track is the code from here. This is basically next track. Okay. Start time. I guess cur time gets updated inside of update. Yeah. We don't necessarily need to set it here. We will do start time though, because that's the time that this track is starting, which is used to determine the elapsed time that goes up and towards the top left. We can't play it until we finish some more of this though. Self.audio.playing, then stop. Close the current file. Set the new file. Open the new file. Change the file on the decoder. Play the decoder. Lines. Okay, almost there. Actually try to run it and see what we've broken, because I'm sure we've broken something. Oop. Get a self. So we could refactor this a little bit further. Let's say def start or play current track. And that could have all of this. And then here we just go self.play current track. So it changes the current track. And then we play it, and when we go to play it, we get it out of here. And we get it out of here. What we're updating. So we just, these are the only things that are actually different, is just +1 for previous, -1 for next. Other way around though. Scratch that, reverse it. And so now we can get rid of all of this and go self.play current track. Okay. Might probably take these prints out eventually anyway. So we are setting ourselves to 1. We could also just go here. Self.play current track. I don't know if we need to go like self.audio equals none, self.decoder equals none. Well, no, audio we would, no, yeah, we don't want to do that actually. These are getting created here. Created here. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we could call like current track, but really this logic is different. It's creating these, whereas inside play current track, it's not. It's just changing the file on the decoder. So we'll leave these. This does need to be self, which is probably why I was not seeing some underlines earlier that I was expecting. So we should be getting close to being able to actually run this. Our main loop is now much more to the point. We still have not handled when the song ends, but let's see if let's see what we broke. Surprisingly, I don't think we broke anything, actually. We have the whole display. We have our 3 widgets. Scrolling text, playlist, time. Let's do the touches. Yeah. Look at that. First try. That was a lot of refactoring to actually run the first time and do what it's supposed to. So now our actual CodePy will be much shorter and more descriptive. The code is like closer to English, telling you what's happening. Whereas the actual sort of nitty-gritty details are now tucked inside of this Winamp application. I think this will give folks a good sort of scaffolding to look at and be taking inspiration from for other types of application type projects where they're building something akin to a mobile app type thing. You have an interface and you want to take inputs from it and process things and do things. This is a good way to abstract it to make your code a little more manageable. All of these are a little loud. These. So we do need to handle the code fragment. Oh, well, those are 2 different files, and one is a backup of the other one, so yeah, they're duplicated, but like, not really. Honestly, they're not as duplicated as they are now. They weren't. So let's handle when we get to the end of a song. Which I guess this should do inside of update. This should happen. So inside of update, let's make a check. If the Winamp application's current state is playing, whoops. The Winamp application is playing, but the audio is not. What am I doing? Playing. We also want not, if not. So, Winamp application is playing, audio is not playing. That means, I'm pretty sure that means that we got to the end of the song. I think that's what that means. So once we get to the end of the song, we're gonna go self-dot next track. That's pretty easy, right? Just start the next track, just as if we had pressed the button. We already have inside of here only stop the audio if it's actually playing. We start the next audio. That might be all we need. We will have to wait a minute though. This song is 2 minutes or something like that. Two minutes 14 seconds. So I'll let this run for a minute. and try not to get distracted before we get there. One thing I will do, though, I'm not going to save it. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to make a change, and I'm not going to save it. I'm not going to save it, because that's going to interrupt our counting. I'm not going to save it. What I am going to do is, if the top half was touched, not going to save it. I could probably get away with just else, but I'm gonna make the code a little bit more clear by actually less than equals 240. Do this too, it doesn't matter, but just in case if the display was actually an odd number, we shouldn't break because of that. So if they touch the top half, I'm not going to save it. I'm not going to save it. If Winamp application, current state, if it's currently playing, pause. Else play. Alright, we're getting close. 214. Uh-oh. A little bit long. Sounds like we're getting there. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it ticked over. I think the deal is where maybe... I mean, bear in mind, we are still on a microcontroller, which is like 130 or 140 megahertz or something. I think maybe what's happening is we're not playing the MP3 in real time. I think every now and then, maybe if garbage collection runs or if the CPU is just busy with other stuff, we're not necessarily hitting real time. It might take us, 10 seconds to play 8.5 or 9 seconds of audio, technically, from the file. So it's, theoretically, it's probably slowed down a little tiny bit. I don't actually notice it, but I'm also not familiar with these songs, so I don't know if I would. I think that's probably what's happening, though. That's why we made it past 214 here. What's this one? Actually, I want to try the play pause, so we're probably not going to wait for this one, but I am curious. Let's see how big it is. How long it is. 3 minutes 11, okay. So our play pause should work. Yeah, I'm going to try it. Save this. Oh, you know what? One thing we need to do is stop the counter. Yeah, I paused it. It's no longer playing, but it is still counting. Oh, I don't think my resume's working. Nothing jumps out to me from that seems wrong. Pausing. Huh, doesn't resume. Why is this yellow? Oh. Is there a dot resume? There is. Yeah. That's what we should use. Because we're not the reason that was yellow. Sorry, I didn't really say much of that out loud, but I asked why was that yellow. The reason it was yellow is because we didn't pass anything. It was expecting us to pass something like decoder. Like when we're here, we say audio.play and we tell it the decoder. Because play is actually starting a new thing, whereas resume is picking up after we paused. This might be wrong as well. Maybe we need if paused. And this would not be not anymore. There we go. Now it's working. It does double up the touches sometimes. I think I'm just going to build in a touch cooldown. Let's say we only respect one touch every half a second. Does the touch wait until the touch is released? I do have debouncing. I have this if p and not previous touch, which is basically making it so I ignore any touch events that come after we already got a touch event before we released. So not previous touch event. Touch event, the previous one has to be none in order for us to count the current one. So we do have debouncing going on. But I also want a cooldown of like, if it comes in within less than half a second, even if it did come up and down, ignore it. So we'll say if we should get a cur, I'm just gonna call it now. If now, and this is time dot this. If now is greater than previous touch time plus touch cooldown. Do we want to reset previous touch inside of it? Part I don't know, actually. You need to do that, though. See how that works. It doesn't block. It doesn't wait until the current one is released by blocking, but it does debounce the signal. It does ignore anything if the previous one wasn't released. So the code is still looping and still calling update and still checking events and all of that, but it is not, it won't do anything on the frames where the previous touch is not none, which means that it was being touched in the previous frame. Yeah, I think we're good now. Because now I'm getting a single, I'm always getting exactly one in my actual behavior, whereas the touchscreen could be perceiving more than one all in a real quick succession, which is kind of how resistive touchscreens, they're a little bit jumpy or whatever, if you will. They kind of register a bunch, depending on how hard you're pressing or not. So now we're filtering out any of them that come too soon after a previous one. So this is, I think we're pretty much there. This is pretty much exactly what I want. Minute 16. Let's let this one run to the end. You know what we should also do is we should let the last one run to the end and make sure that the next one loops back around. We'll do that after this. I think we're pretty much there on the code for this, though. We'll still scoot some of these things over to their own files. And then we'll just have the CodePy. Maybe we'll also add in some extra configurations for touchscreens to be the other portrait. We definitely need to be portrait because that's the size of our background, but we could be upside down portrait or right side up portrait. So this one we'll have to wait a minute for. It's like two and change, I think it said. Just wonder if this should be in one more. That would mean we'd ignore frames that were too fast. Previous touch. I feel like with the logic how it is now, there's a weird edge case where we ignore a touch event because it happened too soon. But then the next iteration, it starts to matter because it did update previous touch. But I don't know if that has a... Oh, we just flipped over. Nice, that seemed to work fine. I'm gonna play 5 and let it flip over. Oh, it's quite a bit louder. Still quiet enough it's not getting picked up, it looks like, though. So yeah, something makes me feel like being indented in might be technically more correct in a few edge case scenarios, but I also don't know if they'll matter. Edge case scenarios might be unlikely, or it might be the case that even though it does technically matter, it actually ends up doing what the user would expect anyway, in which case, like, you know, it has an effect, but the effect doesn't cause trouble, so... We'll definitely need to comment up this code quite a bit. Scrolling label, I think, could possibly go to the display text library or its own widget library, maybe. But playlist display and the clock one, the clock display, I'll probably keep into this project unless somebody wants to reuse it. The clock display, it sounds like it would be generic, but it's really not. It's really kind of very specifically built around this size. Alright, so basically what we're doing here is just waiting for this song to finish, and then making sure that this ticks over back to playing song 1 next. And as long as that's good, then I think we'll call this good for now. Talk about what's left to do on it. Basically, it's like comment the code and the guide. Maybe think about if there's any other functionality we want to add in. But nothing comes to mind for me. Maybe volume, if volume exists, but I don't think it does. You could actually, if you do use Audacity to convert your music, you could actually change the volume when you convert it. Yeah, for sure. I'm glad it's helpful. So that's part of the huge motivation for me to put it out there, is if it can help folks to see how I work on stuff like that. All right, I think we're getting close. I don't remember exactly how long this one was, but I think it was 3 and change, so. Sounds like it's winding down a little bit. Well, did for a minute. It's kind of picked back up a bit. Oh, gotta be getting close now. Yep, there it goes. Ticked over. We're playing song 1, Advertime. We went over to song 1 here. We restarted our timer. I'm thinking we're pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the functionality here, and actual CodePy would be not very complex, which is definitely something I try to aim for when I can for learn guides. The actual CodePy at this point would be imports, set up touch display, set up the SD card, a couple variables for configuration. Set up the display rotation, set up the application. This is where the bulk of everything is happening. Show it. A couple more variables for touch cooldowns and debouncing. And then main loop, call update. Most of this is boilerplate for the touch events. Debouncing and cooldown enforcement, and then we just have high-level functions for the way we actually interact. So we just call next track, previous track, pause and play. Maybe play should be resume, since we did end up calling resume inside of it instead of play. I like the idea of calling it play, because maybe you would call it the first time, but you don't actually call it the first time. Yeah, I think we should call it resume. Resume. Current file. Yeah. Okay, so that refactored it for me. So I'll print resuming. I don't know, these prints might come out by the time we're all said and done, but... Ooh, that was interesting. Alright. Maybe I'll just I'll refactor the files as well. Let's do it. I think maybe... I think I'll just go with like one extra file, Winamp helpers.py. and it will get all of my classes for now, and then if scrolling label moves to somewhere else, then it won't need to be in this project. Put those there, that will break this. We're pretty much only targeting the PyPortal, which is a SAMD51, which should always have audio I/O, I think. We shouldn't ever be using PWM. So the code where I copied this from was meant to be more generic and support a wider range of devices, but our PyPortal, I think, should always have that. Although it is worth noting it thinks it's unused. I guess because it gets initialized inside of Winamp helpers, huh? Yeah, some of these, actually, a couple of these are going to need to move over. Whoop, 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 whoop. There we go. Here. So these. Board. I don't need board? That can't be right. We must need board. For the SD card stuff? Yeah. Why is this unused? It's definitely used. I don't know why. Actually, we just don't need this, I think. Was I wrong? Oh, no. Okay, yeah, we just haven't done our imports yet. Oh, I see. We had two boards. Huh. Why is that? Oh no. Oh no. Where did my application go? Oh, this has to be here somewhere, right? What did I do? Okay. Going on the undoing spree. Oh no. Oh, I'm in the wrong PyCharm. Yeah. But the good news is I didn't just delete everything I did today, so that's nice. That makes total sense though why it wasn't in the history. Of course it's not in the history because I was in the wrong project. Yeah. I really thought I had an oopsie there. And it somehow wasn't in the history, which is like a double whammy. So this is where we need to make the rest of those changes. So actually pretty much everything I just did, then undid. Okay, we also don't even have Winamp helpers over here. Oh, and I just... Let's see what happened. All right, shuffle around some more imports here. These probably want to be here. Highland, I think, complains if you put ones that aren't in libraries last or something. Okay, I was missing a couple more selfs. It happened to be working because I also had variables without self with that name. And it was still in the same file. For board import time. Okay, now we got all the red gone. Oh, well actually we only need Winamp application because it uses the other ones internally. File must be opened in byte mode. No? Does it? No, it doesn't. It can be a file name. Can it be a file name? Sure, it can be a file name. After skin image. Ah. Interesting. So that turned it into a tuple. Yep. Thank you. Good catch. Nice. It's all still working. Yeah, now we're down to just 79 lines, not even 100 lines, and some of it's white space as well, so. Although we will, I think we'll include a couple, well, we could just include the one other portrait orientation. That way they can choose upside down or right side up. Don't really need this. Although I guess it might be helpful for people, I don't know. Say print Oh, you know what we never did? Is the clock. The clock still runs while it's paused. Let's fix that. It'd be pretty easy, I think. We could just check the state inside of update. So inside of update for our application, we update our clock display right here. We also update the scrolling label, but we want the scrolling label to keep going, I think. So here we'll just say, okay, but yeah, the problem is that yeah, this is gonna get messed up. My first thought was just to say if self dot current state is playing and do this. So now it won't happen while it's paused, but the problem is when it resumes, the time will be wrong. Yeah, so now it's stuck on 6, but as soon as I resume it, it's going to jump forward a bunch, all the way to 14, however long we were paused. Needs to account for the pause time. Can decoder just tell us the time we're at? Like seek time? Self.decoder. Look like it. Audio? Playing time or something? Like it. I'll set current time to last current time value. Last current time value. But as soon as it runs, this, it's gonna change it back though, I think, right? Else time previous time. Saved again, which is why it restarted twice. Oh wow, I managed to crash the core. And it saved while it was loading, I guess. Move line 79 into if test. Only update the current time we're playing. I still think when it switches, it's gonna catch up to real time though, because time.monotonic is gonna keep moving forwards. Yeah, as soon as we resume, it still jumps forward by however long we were paused. Okay. This is not going to work either, though. This is only going to work for the first pause, I think. Dang, this actually got kind of complex here. I don't know how to do this right. This is the pause elapsed time. This will work, I think, for the first pause, maybe. But if we were to pause a second time, I think this will get messed up. Oh wow, we crashed into the core again. Or rather, we core crashed again. Huh. Not good. Wonder if we can reproduce that reliably. So that worked. But that got all crazy on me. That went to like negative. Honestly, it felt like it paused when it should have played, or vice versa. Yeah. Start time is, yeah. So the first pause and the first resume works. Second pause works. But the second resume still causes it to jump. But if we reset the start time, then it will start counting back at 0 again. Like inside of here, if we went self.start time, cur time. Oh. I think this is going to start back down on 0. Yeah. Our time plus current time relative to clock time. I think I'm not gonna solve this right now. I'm guessing probably what you're suggesting probably would work, but I think I'm a little lost in the weeds, and I think I want to take a step back and conceptually change what I'm doing. Basically, this idea of keeping track of time doesn't work very well with pausing and resuming. I think I'm going to change conceptually to just keeping a basically keeping a seconds elapsed as a number and just counting it up by 1 every time a second has passed. So instead of worrying about what time we started and what time it is now, the only thing we'll care about is the time it is now and the last time that we incremented our seconds elapsed. So we'll store the last time we incremented it. Whenever 1 second has passed, we'll increment it again, we'll update the timestamp. And then anytime 1 second has not passed, we just will not update it. Therefore, it won't change. Whenever we're paused, we won't update it. And then whenever we resume again, we'll go back to just looking at the current time since the last time we incremented it. Maybe we'll have to reset the time we incremented it. Oh, This got messed up, well, only temporarily actually, when it restarted the next song too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna refactor it a little bit more to not be based on the start time, and instead just keep a counter that's counting upwards, and it'll reset to 0 when it changes tracks. It'll keep track of the last time that it changed to know if a second has passed, so that it knows it needs to change again. This way, time that passes while we're paused just won't matter, because we'll always be counting up by 1 for one thing, but we'll also reset the timestamp of the last time we changed for when we resume. That way we won't count up again until 1 second after we resume. Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to do. It should end up being hopefully less complex too, because it won't have to reference the start time. So do I want to do that now? Yeah, I guess let's go ahead and do that now. This will probably be the last thing I do, though. Probably head out after this. So let's say we could just keep using seconds elapsed. We're just going to use it slightly differently. We are going to need a... I'm going to call it last increment time. I'm not convinced that's the best name for it, but... So inside of update, we're going to say... if the cur time is greater than or equal to the last, this is also only if we're playing, last increment time plus 1. If it's been 1 second since the last increment time, then self.elapsed seconds plus equals 1. Else nothing. It's not time yet. We could do this inside. So we only need to update the display if we actually changed the seconds elapsed. If it's time to update, then update it by 1. Is that it? Feels like we would need more. What am I missing? Oh. We didn't set the last increment time. Self.last increment time. Cur time. Okay, now we're counting by 1s. We don't count when we're paused. And I guess I already know this is going to break. Well, okay, so technically it broke, but the good thing about this approach actually is that when it broke, it only counted by 1, which isn't the end of the world. But it is technically not correct. We would need to go when we resume. We also don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore. When we resume, we do want to go self.last increment time equals cur time, even though we did not actually increment it. That way we wait another full second after resuming before we count again, which technically we could get out of sync with the real song, but we also saw before we're not playing at real time technically anyway, so our time is going to be off from what you're expecting if you're looking at the MP3. But I think... Oh. 91. Float none. Oh, I think we don't need to do any of this. Okay, that seems good. Like it counted instantly still. Oh, because cur time's not updating. Unless it's playing. Yeah, and this is much less of an important thing, right? Because now it's only going to ever be off by 1 pixel, or 1 second, I should say, since it's counting by ones. But I do think it should not... It should wait a full second after you resume it, before it ticks up to 6 this time. There we go. Yeah, that's what we're after. Okay. Now I think we're there. Alright, so this is coming along. I'm pretty happy with this app. I think... What happens if we next track while we're paused? It does automatically start playing, and it does mess up the... messes up this time. I think technically we're still in the paused state, honestly. Yeah. Alright, so we do have a little bit of cleanup to do. We need to manage the state better. We either need to ignore previous track, next track while we're paused, or we need to unpause if we are paused and one of these gets called. Probably the latter. So that's like a functionality thing to do. Other than that, I feel like we're getting pretty darn close on the functionality. Really, the stuff that's left is mostly comment the code, to explain all of it, and then build out the guide. Some of the sections of the guide we'll need to work on because it's going to have like probably a page dedicated to how you download a skin and convert it. Maybe a page dedicated to setting up your MP3s, like that screenshot I took from Audacity earlier. If I figure out FFmpeg, then we could show that one as well. And then we'll have the normally expected, guide pages like code setup and code walkthrough, overview. Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close. Previous and next track should reset the elapsed time. That's true. Yeah, we'll, that's a good point as well. Yeah, we'll need to reset those down to 0. Yeah, we'll need to do that actually for just when we get to the end of a track as well, won't we? So here, yeah, we should definitely do that. Back to 0 here. Back to 0 here. You know what? Let's just go ahead and fix it. So when we are next track, we want to, well, do we care? We could just set the state, right? It won't matter if we set it to the same thing. Current state equals self.state playing. So we always just go back to playing. We reset the time elapsed to 0. So we'll always go back to 0. All right, so we're going to pause. The next track. Yeah. Went to 1 awfully fast. Track worked fine there. Okay. I'm going to let this one run, and then I'll probably head out after this. I'm going to let this one run to the end and watch it pick over to the next track. So that'll be how we close it out here. Thank you to C. Grover for helping me out with all of these suggestions. Prefer that the pause stays active when using previous next. So it switches tracks but doesn't start playing. We could do that, but we would need to change logic in here for do this. We don't really care about this anymore. We could get rid of it, I think. Do this, although it doesn't matter as much. Do this, do this, do this, do this. But don't do this unless... Yeah, it's going to make the logic a lot more complex, right? Because then this one... So the problem is resume here is different than play here. I guess we could have, like, immediately after we call play here, we could check if we're in the pause state, then just immediately pause it right away. I'm not going to save this. Okay, that did tick over correctly. So when we go previous and next track, we always reset to 0. We don't change the state, so the state stays the same. Change the number, we call play current track. Play current track does all the setup, technically starts playing, but if we're paused, then we immediately pause. And so we're still just waiting for a resume, I think. So this should be alright, I think. Pause. Next track. So one thing is this didn't update. I think it will when I start. Yeah. Basically do this, update the display. It should go to 0. It shouldn't wait until you start playing. Display, yeah. So that's, we're paused. Next goes to 0 but stays paused. Next again goes to 3, song 3 but stays paused. Resume, starts playing song 3. Starts from 0. Sweet. All right. Thank you to everyone who watched. Definitely a big thank you to C. Grover for helping out in the chat here. And Mr. Certainly for that FFmpeg knowledge. Just forgetting the name of that. I think that's all we saw in the chat today. K-Match, if K-Match is around still, thank you to you as well for working on new widgets. I will head out for now. I don't know how much more of this project I'll do on the stream. If folks are interested in the guide portion of it, maybe I'll stream that. Hit me up on Discord if that's the case. Otherwise, I may do the guide off stream and then get into my next project, which is pulling data from government, U.S. government website statistics, like how many visitors U.S. government websites have. I think we'll do a mag tag, probably, maybe PyPortal as well, not sure, or maybe PyPortal instead. But somehow we'll be pulling that JSON data from the web and then formatting it nicely, putting it on display. And that'll be the next project I'm working on, which I definitely will do on stream. So if I don't stream before, then probably Monday at some point I'll be streaming. Also, as a reminder to folks, the CircuitPython weekly meeting on Monday, I will be running that. This will be my first time running it, so actually, maybe I won't stream Monday beforehand. I don't know. I need to run through, kind of give it a practice run still. I intend to do that before we do it, but anyway, I'm a little rambly at this point, so I'll head out for now. Definitely next Saturday, 10 a.m., I'll definitely be back by then, same time I stream today. That's when I'm normally on, so that's where you can catch me. I might be back Monday to work on that other website JSON data project. Or if folks are interested and let me know in the Discord, then maybe we could do the guide for this on stream as well whenever I get to it in the next couple of days. But I'm going to head out for now. Thank you again for everyone. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.